The Rock and Vin Diesel. Co-stars, icons, bitter rivals. We've all heard the stories about the infamous feud between these two stars. How they even have mathematical formulas to determine how much punishment they can give or receive on camera to avoid looking weak. But putting aside all the catty back and forths.
Yeah, and I'm Vin Diesel, mate.
Well, let's hope not.
And the scenes where they had to shoot around their refusal to make eye contact. It's time to settle this matter once and for all. We're going fight for fight, scene for scene, and calculating who's dished out the most punishment and taken the least amount of blowback over their entire careers, with the help of our old friend, the Fandom AI Analytics Protocol.
I don't got analytics, I got family.
I think we're ready. This is The Rock vs. Vin Diesel, by the numbers. Our main challenge in reviewing every film featuring Vin Diesel or The Rock was finding ways to compare and contrast action scenes from very different movies, putting their characters in wildly diverse scenarios. For the sake of comparison, we've drilled down to measuring just a few key variables, namely the number of hits that each actor scores against their foes, the number of times they take hits from a body part or weapon, and the number of opponents they knock out or kill. Hits are counted if Vin, Dwayne, or an enemy makes any purposeful attack that isn't blocked or dodged. Any part of the body and any object, including a vehicle, can be used as a weapon, but the contact must be purposeful, no collateral damage. So in Fast 5, Vin Diesel swings the vault he's dragging behind his car. If he hits an innocent bystander, that doesn't count. But if he's swinging that vault on purpose as a way to take out a cartel guy who's chasing him, that counts as a hit. Only direct hits increase their scores though, so if Riddick sets up a trap and an enemy accidentally springs it later, Vin Diesel gets 0 points. Hits or kills must be confirmed visually or via audio. Sometimes we can guess that the Scorpion King must have taken out more men in that cave than just the ones we see him kill on screen, but because there's no way to estimate, and we didn't see The Rock accomplish it, they don't get counted. Human versus animal fights count, so long as they are deliberate. A completed throw, that is picking an enemy up, throwing them into something or the ground, and having them land, counts as one hit. We do allow for multi-part hits though, if a character picks up a foe and knocks them against a number of objects before dropping them. For gunfights, individual gunshots count as one hit, provided we can verify the strike actually connects with the target. In some scenes, characters are spraying a hallway with bullets, but only get credit for the hits we can verify. The characters engaged in the action must be physically identifiable as The Rock or Vin Diesel. No 100% animated characters or voice acting unless the characters are purposely modeled on the real guys. So The Rock's face on a scorpion body counts, but Vin Diesel, Groot, does not. Finally, any action that's depicted on screen in the movie counts, even if it's a fantasy or dream sequence, like fanciful stories about Hercules serving up mythical monster beatdowns. Okay, Fanda, are you ready for some math?
I live my life a quarter fraction at a time.
Set jokes to off.
No.
To start, we're going to take a close look at the Fast and Furious series, the franchise that finally brought Vin Diesel and The Rock together on screen. Two buff tastes that can't stand being together. In the film Fast 5, we get our only example of an on-screen Rock vs. Vin Diesel showdown, so let's start there. Vin lands 24 hits in this fight to The Rock's 20, giving him the upper hand, but only a very slight one. Note how throughout the sequence, the two actors trade blows almost at a 1-to-1 ratio. That's because this was all worked out by lawyers contractually beforehand, just like you do in a real street fight. And of course, because both of these characters will end up being good guys at the end of the film, no one gets knocked out or killed. Can you imagine? It might have taken the family like half a movie to get over a tragedy like that. The Rock and Vin Diesel both appear in 4 films from the Fast and Furious franchise. Fast 5, Fast and Furious 6, Furious 7, and The Fate of the Furious. So we'll run those through the Fanda system first and see how each of them perform.
Scanning. Scanning. Analysis complete. Display the results.
Across these 4 films, Vin Diesel as Dom Toretto lands 115 hits and takes 48 hits. That means for roughly every punch or kick, he's dishing out 2.4 punches or kicks of his own. Dwayne Johnson lands 107 hits but takes 52 strikes in response from foes, for an average of 2.06 dished out hits for every bit of abuse that comes his way. As for the ultimate fate of his ferocity, Vin knocks out 12 enemies during these 4 films and kills 27 bad guys. Yes, they were all bad. Very bad. The Rock, on the other hand, knocks out 21 individuals and kills 15. So, now that we've set aside those occasions where they actually share the screen, Vin Diesel currently holds a lead, but only a slight one. For the rest of our survey, we've run each film they've made with an action scene in it through the Fanda system. We'll reveal the full results in just a bit, but first, let's take a look at the top performances that did the most to beef up each actor's already quite beefy score. Vin Diesel's The Chronicles of Riddick was one of the most action-heavy, hard-hitting films from either performer's filmography, and also one of the most blurry and hard to follow. But on the plus side, it's the only film from our survey where the hero has to fight a man named Ergun the Strange. To make things even more challenging, the movie changes its mind a few times about what happens when you're shot by these weapons. But hey, that's why we have an advanced computer system that we totally didn't just make up for these by-the-numbers videos.
I'm as real as your mom.
I said jokes off, Fandom. Leave the humor for the meat sacks. Ultimately, Vin lands 97 hits in Chronicles of Riddick, striking 4.2 enemies for every hit that he takes. He also knocks out 34 foes and racks up an impressively deadly 31 kills, making this one of the killingest entries in the Diesel filmography. Also moving the needle for Vin are his two XXX films, which not only feature him saving the world and taking out several bad guys, but also depict his character, Xander Cage, as essentially invulnerable to every kind of attack. He takes 0 hits during the first XXX film, and bad guys only make contact a total of 3 times in the entire follow-up film, Return of Xander Cage. Bear in mind, that includes a fight against Donnie Yen. People say the Fast movies lack realism. Over on Dwayne Johnson's side, one film stands above all the others in terms of toughness, the 2014 fantasy adventure Hercules. Dwayne lands 68 blows over the course of the film and only receives 12 knocks back, for an average of 5.7 hits delivered for every strike received. Plus, he knocks out 4 enemies and kills a staggering 66 foes. That makes this the deadliest performance from either actor in any of the films we've surveyed. And it's not hard to see why. Look at how easy it is to one-shot these soldiers. Were some tribes made of taffy in the ancient world or what? I mean, yeah, I know, he's Hercules, but remember your training, kids. This is embarrassing. Another of The Rock's most violent turns, kinda surprisingly, the 2013 toy-based military PG-13 adventure G.I. Joe Retaliation. Knowing might be half the battle, but the other half is an actual battle, where The Rock lands 33 total hits, 4.16 for every hit he takes, and kills 6 guys. Like Hercules, the Scorpion King seemed to arrive with the promise of a lot of large-scale ancient world battle scenes, but it's mostly just Dwayne sneaking up behind dudes and taking them out in caves and tents. Nonetheless, it adds an impressive 113 hits, 20 knockouts, and 43 kills to Dwayne's overall totals. He might be the star of the Fast and Furious films, but they're not doing Vin Diesel any favors in terms of his Toughness Quotient, or TQ as I've just decided I'm calling it. Dom gets in a few good hits in Fate of the Furious and racks up a solid body count during the final conflict, but as the series got more heist-focused across the 6th and 7th entries, things took a turn. Across both films, Vin only lands around 40 hits, and he takes a good deal of punishment as well, landing fewer than 2 punches for every blow he receives across both movies. In Fast and Furious 6, Dom gets 4 knockouts but no kills, and in the follow-up film, only 2 knockouts and 1 kill. Gotta get those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. Vin almost exclusively works in the action and sci-fi genres, which give him a little bit of an advantage over The Rock, who's also open to doing the occasional comedy or family movie or whatever Southland Tales is. As well, The Rock is an experienced heel in the squared circle, and sometimes mixes it up by taking on a villain role, while Vin's characters basically always take the high road, even when they were built to be a weapon.
I'm Superman.
No, doesn't count. Animated character. Get out of here, you. Anyway, The Rock has a few real strikes against him on the old badass resume. In the 2005 ensemble comedy Be Cool, a little scene sequel to Get Shorty, he plays an inept bodyguard who only lands a single hit during the course of the entire film, and he's hitting the guy he's been hired to protect, who's played by Vince Vaughn. Though to be fair, I also want to hit him.
Come on, players, stop hating. Stop hating. Stop participating.
Having to spend time with Vince Vaughn's character in this movie is a bit like being assaulted, but not in a way that we could count for our purposes. Still, not his finest hour. As the amnesiac film star Boxer Santaros in Richard Kelly's Southland Tales, Dwayne also struggles to put up any respectable numbers. He only connects an attack with a foe one time, and it's in this scene where he shoves Bai Ling out of his way. Not only that, but he gets hit twice, and he dies. Twice. Once in the past and again in the present. He's getting owned in ways that violate the core principles of space-time. Top that, Vin Diesel. You cannot. The final results worked out very close between both of these guys. Unsurprising considering how their bean counters get involved anytime the shirts come off and the pecs grease up. So the entire contest in some ways came down to a few outliers. That is, films that, for whatever reason, contain a whole lot more hits, KOs, or kills than you'd maybe think. For Vin Diesel, that largely came down to the 2020 comic book adaptation Bloodshot. Remember Bloodshot? No? Well, it happened all the same. Vin stars as a soldier who's killed in the beginning of the movie and then transformed into a superweapon by replacing his blood with experimental nanite technology. This basically makes him impossible to injure for the rest of the film, no matter how enemies attack him. So though the film is action-packed and the 107 hits Bloodshot lands and 31 kills he racks up would normally provide a massive boost to Vin's totals, he also takes over 50 strikes because he's not really trying to dodge them. They still cause damage, it's just healed right away by nanites. So that cuts into what would have been a far more decisive performance. Also, sometimes he just has to get shot in the face, point blank, and nanites or no, that's gotta hurt like a bee. On the other side, Vin gets a major boost from the 2005 family comedy The Pacifier, which opens with a scene of him assaulting Serbian rebels at sea, features him repelling a ninja invasion in a suburban home, and concludes the big fight in a scientist's secret underground vault. Vin actually gets 3 kills in this movie, even though his 2 toughest adversaries are a nanny played by Carol Kane and this duck.
Oh my God!
Hey, animal fights count. that duck intended to maim. The Rock, meanwhile, saw a big lift from the video game adaptation Rampage, especially in this scene where he just unloads on this massive crocodile monster, hitting it 64 times. Everybody, it's okay, it's not Loki. For the entire film, this gives Dwayne 79 hits and he only takes 2 strikes in return. But then there's also Peter Berg's The Rundown, one of The Rock's early crossover successes to consider. As a bounty hunter on a dangerous mission in Brazil, he dishes out a lot of punishment, scoring 95 hits. But as this is an at times wacky buddy comedy, he also repeatedly takes comical abuse, as in this scene where his character faces an entire insurgent camp with downright embarrassing results. Mark Vincent Diesel would never. Dwayne ends the film delivering less than 1.5 hits for each one he takes back, often in the face. He does score 31 KOs and 7 kills though. It's just a violent movie. Okay, Fanda, it's your time to shine. Let's work up those final results.
Scanning.
Head smash! Kablow! Kablam!
Analysis complete. Displaying results.
Across his entire filmography, Vin Diesel lands 625 total hits, while taking 197 hits back for an average of 3.2 strikes for every one taken. The Rock lands 916 blows, but takes 339 in return for an average of 2.7 strikes dished out for each one taken. On that measure, Vin Diesel wins. Next, Vin Diesel knocked out 89 foes across all of the 18 films we surveyed, or about 4.94 per film. The Rock knocks 155 foes unconscious, plus one guy gets his tooth knocked out, across 30 films, or 5.17 KOs per film. The Rock wins on that metric. In terms of killing, Vin Diesel characters kill 169 enemies across 18 films, for an average of 9.39 kills per film. The Rock kills 218 foes, but over 30 films, that only puts him at 7.27 kills in each. Also consider that The Rock died 7 times across the films we surveyed, including both Southland Tales deaths, while Vin Diesel only died 3 times, and 2 of those times he was bravely serving in a real war. That throws kills as well to Vin Diesel, making him our overall winner. And there you have it, a no-holds-barred, intense, dare I say even Fellini-esque showdown between 2 of the toughest movie tough guys of the modern era. Did things turn out as you expected? What movie should each guy make next to boost their numbers? Let us know in the comments and keep it here on Fandom for more exhaustingly thorough deep dives into the ocean of pop culture.